on we go. Okay, so good morning everyone. We have different setting today. We have a famous COVID setting, COVID background. We are okay, we are pretty good, but Bob tested positive, so we have few people sitting outside and listening online, and apart from that, we're just gonna do it from home, starting from wishing everyone Merry Christmas. We got honored with this beautiful garlands, which Bob refused to wear because he doesn't want to look like someone to be worshipped. That's okay. So I'm going to hand it over to him now. And you give us a spiel. I'm not sure. Are you going to start, Bob?
Hi everyone. Everyone and no one. Well, it's all about the same thing, non-duality. And the so-called virus I'm supposed to have, that's non-dual too. Just as things are. Everything is as it is. We'll look into it, and Kat and Dean are here. They can get into it too also. And then we might have to look closely into some of the things we point about, which are not normally seen. As they say, it's right before our very eyes, but hardly ever noticed by a lot of us. Closer than your breathing, nearer than your hands and feet. It is that absolute, ever-fresh presence awareness, what they call the basic space of phenomena. Well, there it is. The base. The base is space. Anyone ever away from space? Is there ever anything that is outside space? When you really look into it, we don't notice it, do we? But everything is the content of that space. The trees, the flowers, the birds, the insects, you, me, the planets, the stars, the oceans, everything is the content of space. Space is no thing because it hasn't got a centre to it. You can't find a beginning to it. You can't grasp it with a concept of the mind. There it is in front of you right now. Go and grab it. It's all around you. It's closer than your breathing, as they say, nearer than your hands and feet. So you can't miss it. Yet we don't notice it. It is every pattern, shape and form in this manifestation. It's a phenomenal manifestation. The definition of phenomena is that which appears to me. It is appearing, or seemingly so. And the appearance is not how it is. The cat here sitting in front of me right now is moving its head, waving its tail around, doing all those activities, looking at the things, smelling things. But like you and I and everything else, it is the content of space. No thing. Can something come from no thing? And when I say things, every pattern, shape and form is a thing. You're a thing. I'm a thing. The cat's a thing. The tree's a thing. The flower's a thing. And all things which we've taken on the words or the names and labelled all these space-like things appearing in awareness. There is an awareness of these things. Awareness is knowing, being, knowing, loving to be. Nobody is unaware right now. That's something we don't take any notice of either. We realize, I wasn't aware. You were aware, but your mind might have been fixated on something else and you're missing out on what was before your very eyes. And that's what needs to be recognised and realised, that that is all there is. And the appearance, pattern, shape and forms are not the actuality. Everything, every so-called thing is a vibrating pattern of energy. This body, this mind, and we've taken it to be different when we learn language. My body, my mind, my voice, my feelings. Who is the me or the mind that's claiming them? Is it anything other than a thought? And where does the thought come from? The basic thought that we learn is that sense of presence expressing through the mind as that thought, I am. I am. It's a spontaneous movement. An energy. I am. And they say, whether it's true or not, I don't know. It came from the primary sound, Om. I am. And as that primary sound, it is reverberating and it has life. But we're not satisfied with that. We put other words. I am this body. I am this person. I am this or that thing or something else. And where did all these words come from? It's spoken from the voice is coming through this pattern we call the body. But am I this body? Am I this mind? I am is the word. Tells you in the Bible, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word was God. All things were made by Him, by the Word, not saying by some big daddy or some pattern, shape and form in the sky, but the Word. Isn't that so? All the things in this manifestation, we've got labels on the words. There was nothing made that was made without the word. So there are words labelled, concepts, ideas on every pattern, shape and form in this manifestation. And how many words were you born with? And to be born, isn't that another word? Another concept? Another idea? What does it mean? Well, we take it to mean I came into existence then. But did you? When did you begin? Well, we can trace it back a little way. We go back to your father and your mother. That life essence, vibrating energy of life that you are, was in your father. And through the food he's eaten, the breath he's taken and the activities are going on, out of those food and all the air and everything else, there was formed a little microscopic particle called a sperm to form. Something you cannot see with your naked eye, just a blob of goo. And to all intents and purposes, it is no thing, but put it under a microscope, you'll see a big difference. You'll see there's some activity going on there. And activity points out that it's suffused with intelligence and knowing. And the same in your mother, that same life essence in your mother, through the essence of the food, the breath and everything else, enabled in that pattern another little microscopic particle called an egg to form. You cannot see that with the naked eye either. And that attaches itself to the wall of the uterus. To attach itself, doesn't that imply it was suffused with life, intelligence? Because it's going to move otherwise. And the sperm, suffused with that intelligence, swam to the ovum, again implying that it wasn't just a blob. Neither of them were blobs, they were life itself. And how did that life come about? Well, it was the life and the food and things eaten by your father and your mother, and the life they came out of the father's life. And say, when they say in the beginning, can you trace a beginning to it? There is no beginning. And they say the world or the earth came about from a big bang. Now, how could that big bang take place if it wasn't in space? Could there be a big bang outside of space? Well, I don't think there could. You might be able to work it out reading this. But I don't think there's any big bang out of space. So that's a bit of a fallacy also, isn't it? Started with a big bang. But there's ever a time when it was not. And there is ever a time it will not be. So then we look at time. See that time itself is a mental concept, a thought, an idea. And you look into it, past, present, and future. That's what we call time. Now, if there's such a thing as past, well, test it out for yourself. Try and live yesterday, or last week, or 10 minutes ago. And you realise you can't go back and live yesterday, because it's transient, it's changed. It's fresh and new in this moment. Now it has no duration as such. I was in the past, well, try and live yesterday. And you can't, so you ask yourself the simple question, what's wrong with right now if I don't think about it? Well, what's wrong with right now? Now I am. Can I negate that I amness? Well, I can say I am not, but what enables me to say? What enables it to be said? Isn't the very knowing, the intelligence of it all, that enables it to be said? I am. And it's illustrated in the Bible when it was whoever it was, Moses or Abraham or Isaiah or somebody that had the Jewish people he needed to look after. They were wandering in the desert and some of them were playing up a little bit. And he said, well, we've got to give them some rules to live by, otherwise they could go out and do what they like and cause all sorts of trouble. So he sat and pondered over it, thought about it, and it came to him. And that's exactly it. It came to him. It wasn't a thought or something like that. It was something that came up from that pure intelligence. and then what came to him was the idea of the commandments, the plates, the tablets. So he formed those tablets. And he said, I'll take this back to the people, it'll be some rules for them to live by. But he said, are they going to listen to me? And they realised, no, they won't listen to me, I'm just another ordinary bloke. So I'll have to say, who shall I say sent me? And to say I come from somewhere. And that voice that brought up the tablets, and then the inner voice, the inner tuition, the life, intelligence, brought up the idea into his head. Tell them that I am sent you. And Moses then realised, I am that I am. And so that gives it a bit of meaning. When I know that I am that life, I am that living, I am that being, I am that knowing, I am that loving to be. Well, what can you say about that? Have you recognised or realised or seen it? Tell us about it. You've all both got something to say about it, and it can be expressed in many different ways. It's realise it's not just something coming from the one person. It's innately in everybody. As I said at the start, it's that close that it's missed. We don't really see it. It's all around us. The nearest thing, it's before any beginnings, it's after all ending. It is right now. Being, knowing, loving to be. Anyone who is not being, you realise, no, I'm being, I'm knowing that. And I don't want to be dead right now. But what other concepts are coming up that you might have to realise they are just concepts and discard them. And in the discarding of the concepts, where does that leave you? Leave you what they call in Buddhism the great perfection. When they say the great perfection is non-conceptual awareness. We'll see if that works for you. Drop all your concepts and see. So, get into it, tell us about it. Each and every one. We'll argue it amongst ourselves, or talk about it.
Okay, so pull it closer, and then you're going to pull this one closer here. Come on.
I'll just move this first.
Okay. So this is really, I find it crucial to actually really fully embrace that point when Bob is pointing to life itself that created the body, the life itself that created the brain, because it puts in completely different perspective all the questions that people often ask, like, how do I do that? How do I have less thoughts? Or some comments that I kind of tend to ignore because they're so irrelevant. Oh, Bob's definition of mind is not good enough. Well, who cares? They are all concepts. You know, if you really look at the core of the essence of existence, the source of all existence, what does it matter how you define the thinking process? Whether you include subconscious, which may not even exist unless you think about it, whether you look at it as a machine, it doesn't really matter, because it is life itself that is animating everything. And when you recognize life in all thy ways, it will direct your paths. And we don't have any comments from online community yet, and I hope you will do. You can come and look closer. Yep. Now we have welcoming messages from quite a few people and get well wishes. And Laura says, thanks to Bob, it is really impossible to not see unless you're blind, Freddy. And even then, he could not see. And JB says, hope, and few other people hope you're gonna feel better. Yeah, he's all right. The cat is moved. It's moved the camera. Yep, that's okay. Yes, kind of. Yeah, so you wanna comment on that, Dean? It's your turn.
I think the camera's on an angle, but
That's all right.
thank you, Bob, for even doing this spiel. In the current condition and circumstances, it's incredible. And I think that one of the last things you said in the spiel was what happens when you drop your concepts, and in an instant, there cannot be a problem that exists. That's not even possible. It's not possible to have a problem when the concepts are dropped. And then what remains? Well, all right, so there's no concepts any longer, and there's just this aliveness, this moment, this thing of emptiness, of something coming from nothing, but there's something is whatever is appearing, and it can't be labelled, and there's no words, there's nothing. There's you said drop your concepts. You said that was one of the last things you said in your little spiel, and as you said that in me, even all non-dual concepts were dropped. Everything was dropped, and it's wow, there's just space, and space-like awareness of this moment, and it's really and everything's healed, everything's resolved, everything's complete. Even those words are really bit. What's the cat again?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we have Pesto here.
We have Pesto, the cat. So,
sorry for that. Just have to fix it harder and get that pesto out of the way. Yeah, that should work. Yeah, so that's the main invitation, to actually see what is true. See what is true when there is no obstruction, distraction, and when attention is not taken away. Yes, and we have, we just have thank you so much, and gratitude and lots of love from many people. Would you like a sip of water?
Very bad. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's that. We invite everyone to actually help us a little bit and ask questions, share comments, and tell us what resonates, what doesn't. It is always a good starting point. The best thing is actually to see and reinforce what is resonating strongly, because that's the innate wisdom. That's what touches the heart. And whoopsie, I lost a picture of this. And we have the comment from Tanya. Sorry to hear Bob is unwell. Sending lots of love. Oh, come on. He's all right. He's all right. But thank you. And yes, he's surrounded by lots of love. That one is also the love that he got. The flowers are love. All the flowers we got are just an expression. There's so many ways of expressing love. So, and we are embracing it, and we are receiving it, and we are reciprocating it. We are reflecting it back. And yes, the love, you could look at it really as the exchange of love, as the play of love. Like sometimes Bob says, some people call it God, or they say, how you say it? God is love?
Yeah. Well, if God is love, they say God is love, then love must be God.
Yeah, so allowing that love to flow freely is really allowing the God to express through you,
Yeah.
as you.
We don't realise that when we're expressing them.
Yes. And who doesn't love to be loved? Who doesn't love to be in love? Who doesn't? It's just such a natural bliss of experiencing and expressing and letting that love flow. And Ruchika says, get well soon, good wishes. Thank you for your amazing teaching and support throughout. Could we talk, Laura says, more about the memory? Why do I think past exists? Yeah, brilliant question. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think the past exists because it's still there in the mind. The mind is the past. The mind is the me. There is no me in the present right now.
Mm.
Mind is a concept, an idea about past, future. No such thing as mind, apart from thought. And you don't know what your next thought's going to be. But a thought will come up and you say, I think. You make that thought and translate it into the thought, I think. Don't realise that you've formed a subject. When you say, I think, you have become a thinker. And the thought that's coming up has become the object. Subject-object is dualism. And dualism is not the reality. Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is one God. There is nothing other, no one or no thing other than that presence, awareness, that beingness, that knowingness, that loving to be. We've got different labels on it and we get lost in the words and the labels that seemingly divide and separate. But look into it. Is anything separated? It all appears in the opposites, and it couldn't appear if it didn't seemingly appear in the opposite. But the opposites are two ends of the one stick, two sides of the one coin. They're not separate. Like daylight and dark. The earth here is facing the sun and it's daylight here. The earth is, or world is a round planet, seemingly round, and the other side is facing away from the sun, so it's dark. So there we have darkness and light, but are they separate? They're not. They're both the world, or the world is pointing to the two different sides, and the space that's all in is the one space. Not two spaces, not separate. Good and bad. Nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Nothing pleasant or painful. Without the one, there couldn't be the seeming other. So that without the seeming one or the other, it's not divided, it's just as it is. As it is means what it is right in this present moment. That is gone almost instantly. Now it's become was or will be. But the actuality, it still is. The old has passed along, gone, another one's appeared, expression, and things that, when the changes, as it says in incoming, appear in the empty world, When no discriminating thoughts arise, the old mind ceases to be. And when you're not discriminating or separating things, you see things one as is, whole and complete. In that whole completeness, the two might appear to be, but they still can't be separated. If you are not aware, what can you say without that awareness? You can't say anything at all. And that awareness, thoughts and feelings and words and concepts come up and seemingly separate the inseparable. It's all the absolute, one intelligence energy. Intelligence is knowing, not your intellect, but knowing. And knowing implies a movement, an activity. Any movement or activity is energy. So intelligence, energy. That's another term you can use if you're going to use the word God. The activity of knowing, the beingness, the knowingness, the loving to be. You can't get away from it. But we seemingly, through concepts and beliefs, we're seemingly away from it all the time, trying to get back to something which is an impossibility, because it's something that was never left. And that's what happens. It needs to be recognised as it is right now. And ask yourself, am I unaware right now? And you realise, no, you must be aware, or I couldn't say anything at all without that life essence which forms and expresses as patterns, thoughts, feelings, emotions. You are that. There you go.
I have a couple of online comments, and thank you for that. Giotti says, I am not asking my questions because as soon as one arises, it is seen as a thought. Not sure where to go or what to ask. Isn't that wonderful? That is the freedom. Freedom from needing to know. Freedom from those urges to work it out in the mind, to have explanation, to have definition, to have some illusion of understanding, because really knowing the definition or knowing the concept has nothing to do with understanding. So that's beautiful. If the question is recognized as just another thought and seen as that, that's beautiful. And Tanya says, what pointers would you give when there is a doubt about my clarity about what is? Me is a thought, but it feels like there is a belief in a me here. You have to come closer then.
Okay.
Yep. That's good. So, Bob, would you like to answer that? Tanya is asking, is doubt about my clarity about what is? Me is a thought, but it feels like there is a belief in a me here.
Well, have a look at the definition of belief. An unquestioned acceptance of something in the absence of reason. Have you reasoned it out? Have you ever looked at it and ask yourself, what is this me or I? Am I this body? Am I this mind? Am I this thought? Am I this awareness or consciousness? See if you are any of these things without the label or the thought or the concept. And realise without the concept you haven't stopped being. You haven't stopped knowing that being. Or you haven't stopped loving to be. You are prior to the thought when there's no thought there. If you weren't prior to the thought, you would disappear. It'd be the end of you. But it's not. before you were born, or after you were born, how many words were you born with? How many thoughts or words did you have for the first couple of years of your life? You realise you had no words, concepts, or thoughts. You were seeing, you were hearing, you were functioning naturally, effortlessly, and you had no words or concepts till you learnt the words. When the capacity of reasoning started developing, and you learnt words, and from then on we've continued to learn more words and more words, and the word has become the seeming thing. But realise from that you are prior to words. The first 18 months or couple of years of your life you had no words. So that means you're before the word. So recognise that there is something that is prior to the word, and that is what you are. And the word is not the real. The word's not the thing. It's a conceptual image we have about ourselves that we take to be real without questioning. The false cannot stand up to investigation. It needs to be looked into and see. You go to sleep at night and you dream a dream. When you wake up in the morning, you probably said a lot of words, did a lot of things in the dream. Where are they when they wake up? Like the rest of the dream, it disappears. There was nothing there. You don't realise when you wake up to this dream, which is a waking dream. Because this dream starts from where it left off the night before. And the trees and the flowers and the birds and the house, the cars and everything that was there the night before, not the same, but different patterns, shapes and forms are all appearing again. But none of those things in the dream appear in the waking state. They are not there. They seem to be. And the false is what is seemingly so, it's not the real. So when you investigate the false and see it, you can get yourself out of the dream.
Yeah, beautiful. You may also remember that even though there is a concept, and even though this concept is somewhat charged emotionally, there is a belief going into it. So there is a conceptual image of me, and that conceptual image of me feels real because there is a belief going into it. See if there is anyone who holds that belief. Because if belief is just floating through the space, that's not a problem of yours. You know, if you are that witnessing presence in which the belief just comes, sometimes strong, sometimes weak, you know, just like the mood comes, sometimes positive, sometimes negative. If you actually see that everything that comes through that space-like awareness that you are, that field of space-like, sky-like being, knowing, including the belief in the dream character, well, that's quite cute, isn't it? It's not a problem. And now the dream character does something, or the dream character responds to something. Well, so what? You are the presence in which that happens, and that's not personal. And did you want to add something on it?
Oh well,
yeah.
No. Well, Bob, you say that like the word's not the thing, and you know, we're looking at these as concepts. How can a word have any sort of power? So like the word fire, you can't cook with it, you can't heat yourself, you can't burn yourself. How can a word be heated with energy? Like fire. Like I still can't burn myself. Actually, my temperature might have raised a little bit. But how can these concepts have any sort of anything?
Yeah, and people kill each other for them.
So you recognise that, and you're going to be bound by them anymore. That is true. See, the great perfection is non-conceptual awareness. Awareness without the concepts and ideas, or the absolute.
Yeah, great point. And we also have, yeah, we have the laughing face coming through. And we have Laura saying, memory is mind, and mind doesn't exist as a separate entity. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, mind is just... Look at the word mind. What is it? It is a word. What's a word? A sound.
Mm-hmm.
Mind. What's a sound? A vibration. And the vibration is a movement of energy. So the word is just a vibration of energy, the body is just a vibration of energy. It's all vibrating energy that we believe to have the words or the concepts make real. Make believe.
Mm. You want to go on?
No, well, then why, Bob? Like, if they're all vibrating patterns of energy. Why is some energy believed in more, or why is there more attention that goes into some energy than others?
Yeah.
And what is attention energy as well?
Yeah.
Yes. Mm.
It's all energy.
Yes. Yeah.
All energy.
How do you fix this, Bob? fix this problem.
Fix this. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what's why?
Why is the energy too?
Another word, another bit of energy.
Another word.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another concept.
But this is really a wonderful point. It's a great point because it comes, see, again, you look from the individual body-mind. Why do I like this type of music and I don't like this type of music? Or why do I like pizza over pasta? Why am I attracted to this conspiracy and not the other? Why not everyone following Bob? And all the other questions, like why some people have really charged emotionally charged ideas over, a COVID and vaccines and stuff like this, and other people kind of don't. From individual perspective, it is absolutely unresolvable because every individual pattern is an outcome of the conglomeration of the whole universe playing out. It's like a symphony, creating that particular response in that particular pattern, and that and that and that in other patterns. But from the perspective of life, it's just so beautifully simple and easy. As life, you have infinite possibilities of experiencing and expressing yourself in infinite ways. Some of the ways will only show up as a thought. Some of the ways will show up as a dream. Some of the ways will show up as a life story or movie or experience, like as life, you experience yourself as a comet crushing a planet. As life, you experience yourself as a liberance or a fantasy. All of those experiences are possible, and you could ask why. And the best way Bob answers it, why not? It's possible, it's there. So from life's perspective, it's clear and obvious why we don't have identical opinion about everything, why we don't have identical preferences and choices and identical faces and fingerprints. Yeah, life is, they call God creator because it's creative, it's omnipotent. But I love that question.
I had this experience this morning, Bob. So someone sent me a photo of themselves and his chicken. And it was lovely, and then instantly, as I was watching this picture and watching the descriptions of this picture, and then I decided to write something, to do a response, and it's like is this a black chicken with white dots? Is it a white chicken with black markings? Is it a picture of love and devotion from a person looking after a chicken? But what happens when the and it went on, and I just did a few little snippets of stories, but it was really clear. Like that's just movement of energy, the mind just coming up with all these different descriptions. You could call it art, you could say it's this, you could say it's that. But really, when they actually collapse, because there's a knowing that none of them are actually, there's no position, there's no place. And then in the collapsing, it's like what you said earlier in the speech, like the concept, what happens when the concepts are gone, or the perspective. There's infinite perspectives maybe playing out, but you're not one of them, or none of them are real, true. And then it's like, oh, look, and then it's just, this image is just this image, and there's no word that can describe it, and it's just
mystery.
Yeah, it's just totally mysterious, and there's no conclusions. There's nothing. It's like, you can relax.
And that
Total
is
relaxation. There's
Yeah.
nothing to worry about. Nothing. There's never ever been anything to worry about, except for Bob when he says the wrong thing every now and then, which is never.
Yeah, nothing's right or wrong, but thinking.
Yeah,
like
nothing.
so. Yeah, but that's beautiful to be able to actually see that every interpretation coming about, every situation is just one of the possibilities. And when you see them all together and they collapse, that's the freedom. You don't have to believe any of the options of interpretation, and you are faced with the mystery of the absolute unfolding right in front of your eyes, even though there's just nothing playing and dancing. And we have another comment here. Connor sends his love. And Kath, how does resting in being relate to doing? Oh, great questions. Feels like there needs to be an action as well as being. Yeah, absolutely. An action absolutely happens. You know, if you look at the wildlife, whatever is required in the moment, the body is not separated from the environment. So breathing happens. Is it a doing or is it resting in being? Dividing it already creates a confusion. Because resting in being is basically resting the attention from taking credit for the doing. And the doing happens nevertheless. Heartbeat happens. If the stomach is empty, then the secreting of the acids happens, and and the cooking happens. Everything that happens is just a narrative which usually comes up and take credit. Oh no, I can't be right now, I have to do right now. Well, being is not obscured by doing. Oops, that's okay. No, not
Okay,
important.
What was it?
No.
It's okay.
Julia says, the other day, and that's our American Julia, the other day I stopped myself in responding to a friend who posted that she had no regrets. I was left uncorrected. When it is seen that there is no one here to do anything, no one here to regret, be ashamed, or be proud. Freedom is beyond being free from regrets. Freedom is being free from the concept of a me. Action happens. Nobody does anything. I love you both. That's beautifully said, Julia. Yeah, absolutely. And if regret happens, it's just part of the landscape. It's not personal. It's the response to whatever happens in the landscape of experiencing. And if the regret is my regret and I shouldn't or I should, of course, then it's a suffering. But if it's just a part of the landscape, it doesn't even need a label. It's just a vibration of energy. But yes, beautifully said. And Connor said, so mind is fictitious. Laura was saying, mind is fictitious, okay. And Connor says the idea of mind is just another thought. Yeah, the mind is a label for the thinking process. And some people define mind in many, many different ways. Like Buddhists defined mind as a field, open field of consciousness. And they say you gotta rest into unborn Buddha mind. It's still mind. So the definitions can be very deceiving. The context that we are using thinking process. And again, some people may include this or that or the other. It isn't really important because we are pointing beyond the mind. Mind is activity, just like, any other activity. And Laura says, yep, thank you, Bob. And David says, how do we avoid the inquiry questioning becoming an intellectual experience? Thank you, get well, Bob. Bob, would you like to answer that? How to avoid questioning inquiry being intellectual experience? How to avoid it being just done in the head? Well, I guess you just connect with that deep longing for the truth, because that is calling from the heart. And then, you discard thoughts, all of them, because the final answer is not going to show up as a concept. So when you ask, who am I? And the idea comes, I am the universe. Trash it. I am God. Trash it. This is all nonsense. Whatever comes in words is just a concept. But the answer to who am I, or the answer to who am I not. You know, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not this. But if it comes just on the level of, yeah, right, you know, I don't believe I'm the body, but do you know it? And then this deep feeling of longing for the truth is a great guidance to finding, because that same deep knowing will ease off when the truth is arrived at.
Just before,
Yeah.
Bob, we were talking about something. I can't remember but you responded and ended the conversation by saying that it's like this awareness is like there's a cognizing emptiness, and the conversation ended at that, something like that. And I remember in that exact moment, it's like awareness and cognizing and emptiness became a concept.
Yes.
Like in an instant.
Yes.
And it was like, even though it was a perfectly beautiful explanation, and then, but it was seen that that's not it.
Yeah.
It's just not it. Like no matter how profound and brilliant, and even that's dropped. And it's just, there's a tendency for the mind to create, to do that all the time. And I don't know what that is. What is that?
The tendency.
Yeah,
It's a
the tendency.
good way of putting
what
it.
is it?
And who's going to? Who is there to avoid anything?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Negative.
recognizing
Yeah.
tendency is already a great help. Recognize the tendency of narrating any deep discoveries, just putting in words. It's a tendency.
Especially the most profound ones.
Absolutely.
The one, I've got it. This is it.
Yeah.
It's cognizing emptiness. That's the one. Yeah. Then you're
And
in
you
big
write
trouble.
it down in the diary. Yeah.
Big trouble.
Again, as Bob says, who is there to grasp it? And just remembering that whatever comes up as a concept is just the attempt to grasp, and as Dean said, is just the tendency of the mind. This biocomputer is conditioned this way because when you look at the survival mechanisms, it was really, really helpful. It was aiding in the survival of the species. Grasping or making a map of reality, understanding things, putting them in context, including the field of medicines or physics or mathematics. Fantastic quality. It just doesn't quite apply to finding the answer of to life and everything, because that is beyond concepts, beyond mind. Because the mind is only a minute expression on that. And David, just stick in, because initially it's inevitable that everything will be narrated and just basically reduced to the intellectual grasp. And initially you may even develop your intellect to the point that you will be saying a spiel better than Bob. But yes, the deep knowing is that that's not quite good enough, really. It's not quite fulfilling, it's not quite satisfying. The sense of incompleteness, the sense of not being enough is still there, even though the head, the intellect can narrate anything in a way that is absolutely beautiful. There is a heart knowing that is completely beyond. But if you stick around, and remember, you can also have individual meeting with Bob, it may help too. And just, if the intellectual, like reducing to intellectual conceptual understanding happens, notice the tendency. It's a tendency to be noticed. And Julia is answering to David as well. Inquire until no thoughts arise. When there is no thoughts, there is no intellect. You can't have an intellectual experience without an intellect thought. And she sends a heart. Thank you, Julia. And Jane says the false can't stand up to investigation. So true. And Catherine from James, so much gratitude to true master of advantage. Love you, love for eternity. And thank you, both of you. And read Advaita, Catherine also says. Damn, this autocorrect. Yeah, advantage probably was supposed to be Advaita, yes. And Kelly, sending gentle healing love. Thank you. And JB says, nice pointing, Dean. And David says, thank you. Yes, so any more questions, inquiries, any more things arising?
Go on.
Go on. Okay. See what comes up.
Bob, you speak about like this cognizing emptiness. Like, can you explain it a little more? Can you?
Well, cognising is my idea of cognising is knowing. Cognising or recognising, you're knowing something.
Okay. What's knowing what? What is knowing what? What's being known? What's
the same awareness that is being? It's knowing, and it's knowing to me. That's the functioning of it. Yeah.
That's a good question.
So like you said in the spiel, like the sperm, there was like a knowing. There was intelligence energy rather that made it penetrate the ovum. So is that cognising? Is that just not? Is it
similar to
similar? So, but you say like is it this this rock? This isn't cognising emptiness? This rock has it got the capacity of cognising?
No, but you has the capacity of cognising.
Okay. Okay.
About the rock, you can't tell.
No.
You can have a theory, but you can't tell.
But to see the rock is empty. Everything is empty. Its space has got no content at all.
But how does it know of itself?
Through you.
How does it know of itself?
How the space knows itself.
Well, it's a pure intelligence or being or knowing or whatever you like to be is there. That's all it is.
And it doesn't really know itself as an object, obviously. It is pure subjectivity. So it knows it exists, and then you know directly. You know that you exist, but to try and define yourself that I am this or I am that, that is ridiculous, because to define any boundaries around, you'll have to be beyond the boundaries, and then you're not within it. It can't be known what you are, and it can't be denied that you are.
Yeah, you know you exist, don't you?
You know.
You can't say I am not. If you can't say what you're not, you must be. What you're being is be another concept or something like that, but just do that pure being.
Yes.
And being is knowing, and is loving to be.
So is knowing a movement?
Yes.
It has to be a movement, doesn't it?
The energy, the seeing, the hearing, the experiencing, tasting, touching, all activities.
Activities, yeah. So in the stillness, there is not knowing.
No, exactly.
So that concept of Shiva Shakti, Shiva is the stillness, and Shakti is the movement, and the world is Shakti. The world is just the transformation of that potentiality. Shiva is the field of potentiality for movement. Or it's like, electricity that it doesn't flow. You can't say it is. You can't say it exists, but you can't say it isn't. Because the moment it starts moving, you have the light and heat or whatever.
Shakti dances and the world appears, or vibrates, in other words.
Yeah.
Can there be one without the other? Can there be stillness without movement?
No.
Yeah.
Can't be.
Wouldn't be known.
Can't be stillness without movement. It can't be movement without stillness either.
And now we get silence without sound.
How's the time?
Oh, we still have 25 minutes. But if there is no questions, there is no pressure. If nobody really wants to give us a topic for a deeper inquiry, we can just wrap it up. We can go and have some lunch.
Yeah. What can you two bring up?
Yeah, the way you present the spiel is just so beautifully complete. We can elaborate on that, but it really leaves nothing out. I mean, all the questions that come up are really answered in the spiel. You can take one pointer out of it, or you can pull one card of the box where the spiel is put in the form of pointers, and just sit with the pointer and see how the pointer is going to take you all the way. Like, the Bob started of space. Bob, A little water. And there is a comment here from Mitra. Dean, keep asking, please. It is clarifying. Yeah, your questions are really good. They really go to the nitty-gritty details of the...
Well, I'm trying to get Bob to elaborate on certain things, that's all, yeah.
That's what we want. And yes, please keep doing it.
Yeah, not about I elaborate on things, it's what you recognise yourself when you look into them. Might be totally different to what way I'm seeing.
Yeah, the way it expresses, that's true. It comes, the same message comes through every bird in a different song. So just get yourself out of the way, like Bob says, and see what song will come up through you. It will be different, but it is the same source. And if you want to sing on non-duality, that might be quite beautiful, you know. If you want to sing pop music, well, maybe not too bad as well. And we have Oliver. The I am thought doesn't feel irrefutable to me because I implies this and that. There is something or there is nothing feels more irrefutable to my mind. Yeah, why not? Yeah, that's a good way to put it, you know.
I am is just describing that sense of presence, though. It's not the word.
Yeah.
The knowing that you are, how could you say you are? Is to say I am, don't you?
Yeah, it's a translation.
Translation. But you don't have to say it. Yeah.
No.
There's a knowing that you are anyway.
Or there's a knowing of being. I can be completely taken out of the equation. But again, sometimes, you know, when you communicate with people and you care about them, you use their language. So if someone who doesn't use that I, you communicate their language. And those who do, it's just so many ways to...
Some people call it beingness or you know, thisness or...
suchness.
Yes, all those different things. Yeah.
Tathagata, garba.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
You know, that's part of the teaching, isn't it, Bob? Like Nisargadatta's teaching is about stay with the I amness, stay with this isness, stay with the suchness, whatever it is.
The sense of presence is our I amness. Yeah.
Why is it pointed in that direction, like to stay with that sense of presence?
Well, that's what it is. The awareness of being, presence awareness.
Yeah.
But it is a good question because it is really crucial. Because that is the only thing you can actually know for certain. You're starting from right from the where all the juice is. This is the starting point and this is the ending point. The certainty of existence. And that existence is reflected as 10,000 things around. But you're going to be investigating the 10,000 things, including the body that appears, including every silly thought that appears. Why not start from the source? That existence, that radiance of being. That is what Nisargadatta is pointing to. This is the only truth. This is the only truth known directly. Nobody told you that you are being. They might have told you that you are a woman, a man, or Australian, or German, or whatever. But the truth that you know first-handed, stay with that truth. Don't let anything, you know, the attention will flow to other things that appear in that beautiful field of dancing phenomena. Of course, but if you can bring that attention back to the certainty of being, which is the truth, stay with the truth. Stay with the truth of your being. And Nisargadatta called it the diamond of good fortune. But that's a beautiful thing to highlight. It's never enough of bringing it back. You know, rather than having 1,000 questions answered and 1,000 answers in the head to give away to others, just come back to the heart of hearts. The truth of your own being.
But isn't that like what, like a lot of the pointers are pointing you back to?
Yes.
So Nisargadatta might have said it in that way, stay with your beingness, stay with the I amness. Bob says something like pause a thought.
Yes.
Like or what's wrong with right now? Like
Yeah.
isn't it everything's just everything that's being pointed to is collapsing back into that beingness, that sense of presence. So what knows that? How is that known, Bob? How is this sense of presence known?
Are you unaware right now? No?
Who?
Well, where you are, is there an unawareness there?
No. And you can't negate it.
No,
You can't say it's not.
so you must be aware, you just don't even know what it is.
Is that it?
That's it.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Sure, there's got to be something better than that.
Yeah. it's-
But stay with that and
Yeah.
see how good it is, really is.
I love how you embrace the role of a seeker, because we know that he's got a beautiful clarity, but even putting himself in the role of
That's
a
fun,
seeker
yeah.
as a service to help bringing it up beautifully. Thank you.
But Nisargadatta also says, Bob, he says, stay with this sense of presence, stay with this I amness, and it will do its thing
Yeah.
to you in a
Yes.
sense. Like, and then you also go beyond it. I mean, but could you say anything about that?
Well, what it says, once you see the dream is dream, you've done all you can and all you need to do. The rest will be done for you. The life in you, that brought you into existence, it's growing you, breathing you. It'll bring up whatever thoughts or ideas or concepts need to happen. As Einstein says, they worked on a problem for weeks, couldn't find any answer to it. One night he just went to sleep. The next morning it was there. And what do they tell you in the Bible? Cast your bread upon the waters, and after many days it will return. It does, when you're looking for something, and when you seemingly let it go, it will all of a sudden it'll turn up.
So can you let go of your sense of presence?
Yeah, try it.
Try it.
Try it, yeah. That is a great question. Yeah, try it. Can you negate that? Neti, everything. But try and negate that.
And can you grasp it?
Exactly, yeah.
And see who is trying, by the way, too. And we have Oliver. Can you help illuminate why awareness seems to disappear in deep sleep, before birth and after death? And Vivek says, Dean knows reality, but he is acting and playing the role of a seeker on the stage. And how loving is that, by the way? This is love in action. I mean, we were honored with all that loving flowers. We're going to honor you now.
No,
They're just honoring with love. Yeah, so
come on.
beautiful. So you want to help illuminate why awareness seems to disappear before birth and in a deep sleep?
Yeah, it seems to, but doesn't.
Does it? Yeah.
When you wake up from a deep sleep and you say, I slept well, that implies to me there was an awareness of your unawareness.
Yeah.
Well, how could you say you slept well? Must be something there that recognised or knew it.
And does the electricity disappear when you flip the light off? That is the disappearance, the light, the expression of it, like the memory, the expression of awareness, that may be put on hold. But that field, that potentiality, you yell someone's name quite loud, and they apparently even hear it in coma. And before death and after, before birth and after death, well, who knows? It's like before you switch on the light and after you switch it off. The potentiality still remains. And a good way to bring it, I love the way some of the Buddhist teachings, but Advaita teachings, all of the teachings really point out to ineffability and no binary answer. Just find yourself in a place where the mystery remains mystery, when there is neither yes nor no, and there is neither nor both. That is where the mystery stays. And if you can find comfort, because the thinking mind feels threatened, there is an experience of fear. Oh God, I don't know, what am I going to do now? I have to find out. If you find comfort in that mystery, in that unresolvability, in that, because you can't reduce it into the binary yes-no dualistic manifestation, because dualistic manifestation is only a minute expression of that. So it can't be brought into yes-no answer. But just finding comfort without any fear in staying in that field of absolute mystery, being okay with life, being one with life. Life doesn't need to understand itself and put it itself in the black and white. And keep asking the questions, because they bring up this clarification. So we absolutely welcome them.
So I used to have like these experiences of being aware of deep sleep. Very hard to describe, very hard to talk about, but there was like this some sort of strange knowing or really just understanding that deep sleep was happening.
Well, there we were just talking about that before.
Yeah.
So
no,
you've had the experience of it. Huh?
Yes, but then what happened was that there was like all this effort to try and figure something out here. So this is like this is like that, this means this means that, awareness, this is consciousness, this is movement, this is not movement. And in the end it was like exactly what you sort of finished up with. It's like being like totally accepting of not knowing a damn thing. Like there's absolutely no conclusion. That experience was like a hindrance in a way, because it made sort of me to grasp and then to try and find things, and then when all that's let go, then it's like, oh well, this is an experience, and I don't know anything more than anyone else, and there was, there's nothing that can be known on that level.
In fact, the more you understand of this, the less you know.
Yeah. And actually, the more I hang around with Bob, the less I know.
Yes, absolutely, and the more comfortable you are with not knowing. Yeah, that's the beauty.
You're right, Bob.
And known, you said there's no conclusions. Well, that's one of the texts state that, don't they? In it, there are no conclusions. Yeah. So you're on the right track now.
Freedom from the known and freedom from the necessity to know. Also, when you think of the way that machinery has been trained, when you were born without any words, when you were born there was no distinction between objects because there was no label. They were sounds that initially were undistinct. Apparently even field of vision wasn't really trained to distinguish shapes and forms and colors. And there was no fear, there was no problem. There was just a plain field of being. Only when the mind has been trained enough to label and understand and find comfort in explanation, only then the idea of not knowing and fear of not knowing was conditioned into the machinery, and it perpetuated the machinery. Isn't it?
What?
The newborn baby wasn't afraid of being without understanding a thing. Yeah. And Mitra says, love this conversation. Mitra loves this conversation. Conversation, yes.
I have a question for you, Bob. Another question. Like, you've been teaching and pointing this stuff for like how long? Like how many years?
45 years or so.
Yeah.
More.
And in that time, like there's been all the different seekers, and some, some when you give a pointer, sometimes it just bang, it just smashes and hits them and explodes, and others seem to be like incubating in these lessons and teachings and words for 10, 20 years. Like what? And there's such a dynamic in between all these people you've come across over all these years. What is this play? Like, what is this game that's going on, and how does all this work? I mean, is it important? We don't know. Like, what can you say anything about it? Really, like.
No, when it's going to happen, it happens. It didn't happen here for years. It's the same way. Didn't know idea of what it would be like. Had a certain concepts you have to lose be pay to someone, bow down to someone, and all this sort of rubbish. But the whole lot disappeared. Yeah.
But it is a good question, because yes, people have expectations of some sort of a thunderbolt, or some people say, okay, so what is it? black and white? Is it happening in one instant, or is it happening slow ripening over the time? What is it? Or is it both? It ripens and then it falls. Different metaphors are being used for it. But the truth is, the nature, the life, and again, this is the ultimate perspective, the perspective of that life essence expressing through every single pattern. It hasn't created two fingerprints that would be the same. It hasn't created two stories that would have been the same. So again, and is it that it happens? Because in direct experience, are you unaware? No, you're not. You're already aware. So it is happening throughout the life, right from the birth and before it. It is already happening, always and ever. Now, the distractions, the attention moving away from the miracle of existence, from the radiance of being, will those distractions disappear in one instant? All those clouds will just go and open up in the sky, clear sky will show itself. Or will that be the clouds will be seen through one at a time? Well, again, that assumes future. How about this moment now? This moment now, are you unaware? Nope.
People say, I had it and I lost it. How can you lose it?
Yeah. Yeah, you are it.
And they're recognising it, seeing through it in the first place. You saw the duality that was there in the first place. But then you recognise it's non-dual, and then what happens? The concepts start coming up again and you seemingly lost it.
Yeah.
Just drop your concepts, that's all.
And Jane says, the play of consciousness, to paraphrase Shakespeare, tells T.S. old by idiot, signifying nothing.
A tale told by an idiot.
Yes, yeah, I guess I'm reading, Andrew says, my name is Andrew Miller. Jane says, told by, sorry, about typo. Yes, sorry for reading the typo as it says. Julia, everyone is awake here and now. And only here and now, says Jane. Little sip? No? And Mitra says, it felt to me that I need to fully accept that no practice, no understanding, nothing that I do will wake me up. I am not there, but I am not too far to feeling as total failure. Laughing. Yeah, who is that I?
Yeah. You are a total failure. But the I that you believe yourself to be is not the truth.
That's right. That I, that imagined self, that conceptual image fed by the energy of attention, that is surely to fail getting out of itself. Because whatever gets out of that costume is not that dream character. That dream character can never, ever, ever wake up from itself. It's totally impossible. It's not difficult, it's impossible. The dream character, and I sometimes present that analogy, is like a cartoon character written in the book. And you can watch that life of that character in the book. And that character is called Mitra. And Mitra does this. She was born, she was growing up, and then she had children or marriages, whatever that was. And now you are reading that book and wondering what is going to happen by the end of the book. Is she going to wake up or is she not going to wake up? Well, whichever way the book ends, the character belongs on the pages. It will never get out of the book and read it and look at it from outside. It will end up in the pages. You can burn the book. But are you that character? That's the question.
And
You are the one that looks at it and reads it. Go.
And she lived happily ever after.
Yes, the book is immortal. I mean, everything changes, but they live longer than you. Shakespeare's books live longer than you.
Everything becomes objective.
Yeah.
Who's the subject?
There you go. And Jane says you can't wake up when you are already awake, can you? You are the one looking at Mitra's stories. Whatever happens to Mitra, you're the knowing of it already. And Vivek says, you lose everything, knowledge, identity, and you gain everything. And that you which loses and gains has never been lost. That is the presence in which the whole world unfolds. That's the being in which the whole universe dances, including the body and the thoughts and all of it. And yeah, we have another 3 minutes to go.
I might be able to last.
You must.
Done this long? Yeah, gone this far?
Give us a nice summary, Dean.
No, I'm just really grateful. Like you're not feeling well, Bob, and you've still managed to come here and do what you're doing, and it's just a big thank you, really, probably on behalf of everyone who's watching and listening as well. But it's also life doing its thing, isn't it? You know, it is. It still doesn't. We still can celebrate that. And put garlands around your neck and all that kind of stuff.
His garland is here. It's here on the Christmas tree. It's beautiful. Yes, we had, actually I had those comments, and I don't know if you did. Yesterday we had a beautiful concert made by Kavisha in honoring Bob, and a lot of people were saying that even in a difficult times, even going through health challenges, you always show up. And of course there is no doing behind it. It's just what life does through. And today, he wasn't forced to do that either. He was asked if he's...
I wasn't forced. They dragged me over screaming and threw me in the chair.
You wish. Yes, it's just what he does. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful example of availability and love of being, shining through and reflecting it to anyone who needs a little bit of a friendship and love and guidance from someone who is there. Absolutely agree, says Jane. Thank you so much, Bob. Get well soon. And Oliver says, probably too soon to say, but will next week be in person? Yeah, why not? I mean, of course, it depends. Yeah, you're going to be fine, are you?
Who knows?
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be infectious. So if he's going to be feeling well, I shall hope so. And that will be a New Year Eve.
That's right.
Yeah.
Pesto.
Okay, so thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
you
everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
We had over 30 people today, so.
Big thank you and a lot of love, Bob.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you
Good
for
job.
all the questions.